Shabbat shalom, everybody. Shabbat shalom. Oh, that's what's happening. We're having some technical challenges. 1 second. I forgot to mute the YouTube. I was wondering why there was an echo. Hi, I'm Rabbi Leah Berkowitz, and this is our cantorial soloist, Rebecca Schwartz, and we want to welcome you to Kolami to celebrate Shabbat. We have some very special guests with us this evening, and which is funny to the people in the room because there are only 3 people actually in the sanctuary other than us. But we are welcoming Dr. Amy Milligan's Intro to Judaism class from Old Dominion University, and we're so grateful to have all of you. Amy and I have known each other since middle school, so it's really fun to she gets to see me at work and I get to see her at work, so this is fun. And if you have any questions, I am free to stick around a little bit after to answer them for you. So if you want to take some notes of what you want to know, we'll be happy to answer them after the service. I'm also going to share in the chat a digital copy of our prayer book. If you'd like to follow along, I believe I sent you the one that only has 1 set of page numbers, but if there are 2 sets of page numbers when you open it, the page number I will be saying is the page number that's in the brackets. Okay, well, we want to welcome everybody here. And Now that we've gotten all the housekeeping out of the way, let's take a moment to welcome Shabbat, to welcome our day of rest with a good deep breath. And let's take a moment to welcome each other. You want to turn to someone beside you or behind you and wish them Shabbat Shalom. And if you're in our digital space, if you want to say Shabbat Shalom in the chat to each other. Okay. Our service begins on page 121 with our Shabbat candle lighting. Michael, would you like to light candles? Yes, Michael, do you want to light candles tonight? I realize there are two Michaels. We have only 3 people, but 2 of them are Michaels. Okay, so you're going to read on the top of page 121.
As these Shabbat candles give light, as these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Page 142 in your prayer books.
Shalom Aleichem. Yeah, Shalom Aleichem is a song we sing to welcome Shabbat, and it follows a legend that there are angels that come to visit us on Shabbat to bring us blessings of peace. And I believe Rebecca's going to introduce a new arrangement from Nava Tehillah in Jerusalem.
I am. Dr. Rosenberg wrote the most beautiful Shalom Aleichem, and it really speaks to me, and I think it really follows the text. I did it as a nigun for our mood music, so hopefully it'll be a little familiar, and as you pick it up, please join me. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharei, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Bohem Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Seitem Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei
page 143 at the bottom. And so we understand that ordinary people are messengers of the Most High. They go about their tasks in holy anonymity, often even unknown to themselves. Yet if they had not been there, if they had not said what they said or did what they did, it would not be the way it is now. We would not be the way we are now. Never forget that you too yourself may be a messenger, perhaps even one whose errands extends over several lifetimes. Page 146, page 264. Steve and I can't keep the page number straight. 264. We rise in body and in spirit for the Baruch Hu. We continue together in Hebrew on page 265. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher bivaro ma'ariv aravim, v'chochma poteach she'arim, uvitvuna meshane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umesader et hakochavim, v'mishmorotehem barakia kirzono. Borei yom v'layla, kolel or mitnei choshech, v'choshech mitnei or, uma'avir yom umevi layla, umavdil ben yom uben layla, Adonai tzevaot shemo, El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Page 266. In each age we receive and transmit Torah. At each moment we are addressed by the world. In each age we are challenged by our ancient teaching. At each moment we stand face to face with truth. In each age we add our wisdom to that which has gone before. At each moment the knowing heart is filled with wonder. In each age the children of Torah become its builders and seek to set the world firm on a foundation of truth. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Hashem, Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam.
You may be seated.
המזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We worship the power that unites the universe, a promise of harmony for all. Yet that oneness eludes our grasp as imperfection and evil abound. Before our eyes, there is a vision of perfection, order, and goodness. There is evil enough to break the heart, and there is good enough to exalt the soul. When will redemption come? When we grant everyone what we claim for ourselves. Long ago, we escaped the tyranny of Egypt. Our power of the Most High, God's presence redeems time and event, so we celebrate this power that makes for freedom.
So we're moving into our songbooks on page 9, but for those in the Siddur, you could also use page 271. Just won't be the exact order of the text, so you'll just have to look around a little bit for the text on the page. Yes. Bottom of page 9 in our songbooks. Hashivenu Adonai Eloheinu Neshalom V'Hamidenu Shomeinu B'Chaim Hashivenu Adonai Eloheinu Neshalom V'Hamidenu Shomeinu B'Chaim. Ushma Tetzenu is page 272 in our prayer books.
Page 273, we rise in body and in spirit for the tefillah. Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ahel HaGadol HaGibor HaNorah, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'Gomer Hakol, V'Zocher Asnei Avot V'Imavot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei Bneihem, L'ma'an Shemo V'Ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magin Avraham, Ve'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai,
Mechayeha kol atara lehoshia, Mashiva ruach, Umorita Hashem, Mechacheh Chaim bechesed, Mechayeha kol berachamim rabim, Samech navlim berofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei hafar. Milchamacha ba'al gevurot, u'bina melech, melech rimit u'mechayeh, u'matzliach Yeshua. Bremana talachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kedoshim b'chol yom yehalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai,
You may be seated. Page 270. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may we all live in such a way that this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Be gracious, Adonai, our God, to your people Israel, and receive our prayers with love. O may our worship always be acceptable to you. Fill us with knowledge that you are near to all who seek you in truth. Let our eyes behold your presence in our midst and in the midst of our people in Zion. Blessed is Adonai, whose presence renews Zion. Baruch atah Adonai, hamachazir shechinato u'zion.
Page 280.
Which calls us to a better life, we give thanks. For the strength to improve the world with our hearts and our hands, we offer praise. For the desire in us which leads us to work for peace, we are grateful. For life and nature, harmony and beauty, for the hope of tomorrow, all praise to the source of being.
Baruch atah Adonai, Adonai Shemcha, Prayer of Peace on page 282. Shalom Yisrael Hasim Le'olam. Shalom Yisrael Hasim Le'olam. Shalom Yisrael Hasim Le'olam. Shalom Yisrael Hasim Le'olam. Hasim Le'olam. Hasim Le'olam.
Please take a moment for silent prayer.
Você shalom bimro'ah, u'yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'tiru We pause in the heart of our service for a prayer for those in our community who are ill
If there's a name you'd like to share for a blessing of healing, please share it now, either in the room or in the chat. Jack England, David Harrison, Menachem Mendel, then Sarah Frieda Tzvi, Michael Chernoff, Eleanor Feldman. You're also thinking of Amy Goldberg Alberts, John Sherman, Candace Sayers, Isaac Katz, Sheila Sadeloff, Lauren Green, Frank Russo, Aviva Kay, Louise Gratz, Debbie Maddox, Heather Roberts, Kathy Milligan, and Chris Riegel. We hold all of these names in our hearts as we join together in a prayer of healing on page 371. Just as we share life's difficulties, we also share life's joys. If anybody has something happy to share, a birthday, an anniversary, and I can't help noticing that the Seidmans have a baby with them. Is that Jet? Can I pin Jet so other people can see Jet? That's spotlight. Hi, Jet. Shabbat shalom. Okay. And what else is going on? I know that David has a birthday coming up. Happy birthday to David. Ad 120. May you have 120 years worth of joy in the years of your life. Do we have any other things that we're celebrating today? You can type in the chat or unmute yourself. While we're thinking about that, I want to say I was really looking forward to having our friends here from ODU, and it's wonderful to have you on our screen. It would be even better if we could host you in person, but it's the wonders of technology that you can join us from Norfolk. So we're really, really happy to have you. I'm really excited that you're taking a class about Judaism, because that's, I think it's really interesting. Do you have any other happy things that we're sharing? Barry said, we finally got our home renovation project started. Yes, may it be completed with little headaches and with very few headaches and in good time. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for sharing your joys. So I don't know what it's like in Norfolk, but here in Elkins Park, it is a dark and stormy night. And it's a few days before Halloween. So I am going to share some stuff about Jewish monsters. So as you probably know, and as our ODU friends should know, Halloween is not a Jewish holiday. And in some ways, it is the opposite of a Jewish holiday. When we dress up in costumes and go door to door on Purim, it's for the purpose of sharing food with others, not demanding candy for ourselves. No judgment, it's just literally the opposite. Nevertheless, costumes and candy and spooky stories have become a part of the American experience at this season. And we have plenty of scary stories in the Jewish tradition. And one of these tales is the tale of the golem. For our guests, I want to preface this tale by saying that this is Jewish folklore, but it's not part of the mainstream Jewish tradition. So you probably won't find it on your exams unless it's an extra credit question. So in the Bible and in the Midrash, the word golem refers to something that is unformed, such as the matter of the human body prior to its creation. According to the Talmud, we hear a rumor that some of the rabbis were so righteous that they were able to animate creations of their own. In one case, a human being that acted, or not a human being, but a person-like thing that acted as a messenger, and in one case, a calf that they ate for dinner. This was reportedly done by inscribing a divine name, often the word emet, or truth, which you might have heard earlier in the service around Michal Mocha, on the golem's forehead or on a piece of paper that is inserted into the golem's mouth. Such beings were created to do their master's bidding, sometimes as a household servant or as a Shabbos goy, which was the non-Jewish person who could perform duties Jews were prohibited from doing on the Sabbath. And in more difficult times, the golem was fashioned as a physical protector of the community and a defender from the anti-Semitic attacks that were so common in Jewish communities throughout history. So in many ways, the golem was kind of an avatar. It was a physically large and brutally strong being in a way that most Jews were not. And as such, it was able to defend or even avenge the community in a way that a human Jew might not be able to do. But as with most human attempts to play God, this one got out of hand. Because a golem is basically the Jewish id walking around in this giant body, it could be clumsy at best, sometimes starting fires, and it could be violent at worst. In either case, it was very unpredictable. And in these cases, the person who created the golem would need to destroy it by erasing the letters inscribed on its hand or removing the piece of paper from its mouth that brought it to life. For instance, if that divine name was Emet, if you removed the Aleph from Emet, it would reveal the word mate or dead. Some say that the golem created by the Maharal of Prague in the 16th century, which is the most famous one, still lives in the attic of the synagogue there. And in fact, when my brother went to Prague, he called me and said, "I brought you a present." And I said, "Is it a golem?" And he sounded hurt that I had guessed. He said, "Oh, it is a golem." It was a little clay golem that said Emet on it that I still have and treasure. And the legend of the golem was featured, and I now realize this is not a contemporary cultural reference, but it's still available on Amazon Prime. The golem legend was featured in an episode of The X-Files called Kaddish, which I love because it is so well researched. And it is thought to be inspiration for the creators of the original Superman comics. Rabbi J. Michelson writes that the golem reminds us that the power of life is so strong that it brings both promise and terror. And that is not only true for mythical creatures, it's true for us as well. We too come into the world somewhat unformed. We too are shaped by outside forces and animated by the power of words. We too have baser impulses that need to be conquered and energies that need to be channeled for good. And as human beings, we have the power to shape ourselves and those around us. In this week's Torah portion, Chaye Sarah, Abraham's servant is charged with the task of bringing home a bride for Isaac, his son. He finds a woman who is beautiful, pure, and from a good family, but this isn't why he chooses her. He chooses her because she is kind. We later learn that she is also strong, courageous, and even at times defiant or devious. But it is her kindness that the servant seeks, because this is what will be needed to shape the future generations. Rabbi Hitz Greenberg writes, given that the Torah is a covenant of chesed, loving, caring, human solidarity, striving for a better world, the servant had his priorities straight. Having a strong character imbued with kindness, caring, and generosity signal fitness to be a matriarch of this covenant. And for more on this, Jack Selkirk is becoming bar mitzvah tomorrow morning, and he's going to be speaking more on Rebecca's kindness. Just as good lineage wasn't enough for Rebecca to prove her worth as Isaac's bride, we cannot rely solely on our own lineage either. Rabbi Israel Salanter was founder of the 19th century spiritual discipline movement called Musar, which I know some of our people practice, taught that we must cultivate these good qualities in ourselves through regular study, prayer, practice, and reflection. Rabbi Salanter was known to say, the Torah came to make a mensch, the Yiddish word for man, but also for a person of good character. Rabbi Greenberg explains that Rabbi Salanter believed that the Torah sought to create a human ecology out of its mix of story, narrative, observances, experiences, guidelines, and community building. A human being would grow. The human would be of good character, ethical, caring, not ego-driven to stand out, but motivated to be kind and helpful to others. This human would relate to God and therefore be humble and aware of their limitations. This person would be inner-directed, connected to people, but not needing to curry favor at the cost of principles or values. The Torah's stories, commandments, wisdom, instructions, and ways of living were intended to nurture a good human being with reverence for God, for fellow human beings, and for life itself. Those who practice Musar today select specific qualities or midot that they want to cultivate in themselves over a set period. It could be kindness or patience, compassion, gratitude, or many others. During that time, one might study sacred texts related to that quality and assign themselves real life actions that would help them develop it each day. After a week or a month, the focus would shift to another quality, and we'd go back and forth and so on. Cultivating these qualities is not something that's done after a week, a month, a semester, or a year. Rather, it's a lifelong process of learning, trying, reflecting, failing, and trying again. It is a process of seeking the right balance and of helping others grow as well. For instance, bringing it back to Halloween, I once met a colleague who was raised in a more traditional Jewish household where trick-or-treating was forbidden. However, she was permitted to hand out candy to the children who came to her house in costume. Her parents instructed her that they were practicing the Jewish value of hachnasat orchim, welcoming guests. What could have been, and probably was to some extent as a child, a moment of feeling left out or feeling resentful of one's parents for not letting them go trick-or-treating. Instead, it became an opportunity to shape herself into a more generous person. One might even say that her parents were teaching her to emulate the kindness and generosity of our ancestor, Rebecca. Rabbi Greenberg writes, by modeling ourselves on Rebecca, on Moses, on Ruth, we seek to realize the Torah's primary goal of making a mensch. Or, as Rabbi Salanter said on another occasion, they say that the Maharal of Prague took some clay and fashioned a miraculous golem to protect the Jewish people. That would be a great miracle. Yet it is an even greater miracle to take any individual, a limited flesh and blood, mixed traits human being, and turn them into a mensch. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Do we know any golem songs? Rebecca tries to choose a song based on the Devar Torah, and I've been throwing her some curveballs lately. Our service continues on page 586 at the bottom with Aleinu, and we rise in body and in spirit.
Alinu l'shabeach ha'na'onako, la'tein yotzeh reshi, shel yo'asan b'goy ha'aratzon, v'cha'asam anu b'mishpachot ha'adama, shel yo'asan kavinu kahem, v'cha'am aleinu ke'achal ha'amadam.
May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding. Love to each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech. And may we never lift up our hand but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas. And light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and peace. You may be seated. Page 595. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with the people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. This week, we mourn the recent passings of Dr. Albert Gelb, friend of Jeffrey Abrams, Ishmael Jimenez, father of Farah Jimenez, John Jones, friend of Jeffrey Abrams, Irving Korostoff, father of Gail Korostoff, Abby Overton, sister of Michael Levin, Peggy Finberg Weiss, aunt of Ellen Friedman. We are also observing the yard sites of Charles Asom, father of Bruce Asom and father of Patricia Levitt, Gerald Cohen, uncle of Rosalind Holtzman, Ruth Ezekiel, mother of Rachel Ezekiel Fishbein, Abraham Germankin, grandfather of Karen Germankin, Fred Harrison, father of David Harrison and grandfather of Heather Pelletier, William Holtzman, grandfather of Rosalind Holtzman, Harold Horowitz, father of Ellen Horowitz Metz, Aaron Buchanan Jacobs, son of Jeffrey Buchanan and Linda Jacobs, Julia Jekyll, aunt of Sherry Johnson, Bernard Lotto, uncle of Elaine Lotto, Ruth Lotto, mother of Elaine Lotto, Rose Perkin, grandmother of Jeffrey Abrams, Florence Schutzberger, aunt of Judith Miller, Stephen A. Silverman, brother of Michael Silverman, Anita Jaron Spivak, aunt of Jane Goldenberg, Frances E. Stein, grandmother of Susan Holland, Seymour Steinbrecher, father of Barry Steinbrecher, Fred J. Weiss, uncle of Carrie Germankin, and my father, David Berkowitz. If you'd like to add a name to this list, please do so now. Cynthia Turnbull. We are also adding Charles Perry, Robin Germankin, Warner's Cottage can be found on page 598. We rise in body and in spirit. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabbah ve'alma divarach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yamechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael v'agala v'izman karib v'imru amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah v'barach ve'olam olamei amaya Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yithalal Shemei Kudasha B'richu La'ela mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran ve'alma v'ivru amen. Yehei shalom rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'ivru amen. Oseh shalom b'mamav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'ivru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved, and let us say, Amen. You may be seated. The Kiddush can be found on page 123. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei b'rima amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shavach rosho v'ahavah u'ratzon inchilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit ki hu yom techilah mivrahei kodesh v'zecher l'tzivat Mitzrayim Kiranu v'chata v'tzonu v'kidasha v'ka'ulamim v'shabbat koshaka ve'alma u'ratzon im ha'tanu Baruch atah Adonai mekodesh L'chaim. L'chaim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, המוציא לחם מן הארץ ותאוות. So just to let everybody know, we have Shabbat morning services in this room tomorrow at do we have anything else? I want to thank our friends from OU. Welcome. After. What shall we sing as a closing song?
So you spoke of the Golem, but you also spoke of Rebecca's kindness and welcoming the stranger.
Okay.
And so I thought of Meets Vote. See
Okay.
how I connected that?
Yeah, that was a good.
So we're at the bottom.
I like to watch your brain work.
The bottom of page 646 in our prayer books. If you don't know this song, just watch us and listen. Mitzvah gorer mitzvah. Woo! Mitzvah gorer mitzvah. Gorer mitzvah. Ya la 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 la. Yom Sadi. Zeto, zeto, zeto. Yom Sadi. Zemazeh. Tove, oh, 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 oh. Mitzvah gorer mitzvah. Woo! Mitzvah gorer mitzvah.
Please rise. Baruch atem vo'echem, baruch atem b'tzeichem. Blessed were you when you came into the house of God, and blessed may you be as you go forth. God, we are grateful for shelter from this storm. We are grateful for the opportunity to be together in person and online, and for the smiles of babies. And I'm sure we have a little circle of dogs that is joining us as well online. We are so grateful to all be able to be together. And we are grateful for the opportunity to shape our lives and ourselves. Help us to shape ourselves into tzaddikim, into righteous people who do mitzvot, who fulfill our sacred obligations and make the world a better place. And let us say, Amen. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Hey, Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom.